Hello everyone, and welcome to part 3 of 4 of my Coraline theorizing videos. In this video, I'm mostly going to be talking about whether or not I think the parents were actually taken by the beldam, and about the gloves. But first, I'd like to address the painting that I'm doing in this video. This one is a favorite of mine when it comes to this Coraline series that I did. I am in love with the part of her neck that's unraveling like thread. I really like that part, and if I was to redo some pieces from this series, I think this would definitely be one that I would redo. So yeah, there's just my quick 2 cents about the painting in this video. Okay, so let's get into the theorizing. Okay, so let's start with talking about her parents getting taken. First of all, I think her parents were actually taken. And I'm going to explain how I think they were taken, because I don't think they went through the door. So this is my theory on how they were taken. I think they were taken through the mirror. Maybe they saw Coraline in it when she was in the mirror talking to the 3 ghost children, and they saw her from the real world side. And distressed, they went to reach for her, but they ended up in the other world where the beldam then trapped them in the snow globe. So I'm thinking it's sort of like an Alice through the looking glass situation. So that's how I think they would have gotten to the other world. And the evidence that I have to support this is that in my other video, I mentioned how in the theorizer's video, he noticed that in the mirror, the reflections of the paintings on the wall weren't the same as what was actually there on the wall. I think this proves that while we know the mirror is a special place because that's where the children's souls are being kept, it proves even more so that this could be the potential point of entry where her parents could have come through to the other world. So that's my theory on how her parents would have come to the other world in the first place and how I think they got through. So the next thing that I want to talk about is why Coraline didn't go home the final night that she was in the other world. Because all the other nights she goes to sleep and she teleports to the real world. So I want to talk about why that didn't happen on the final night. So a lot of people say that this is proof that she never really left the other world because she doesn't go back through the door in order to be in the real world. And first of all, I would just like to clarify that I do think she did go back to the real world each night she fell asleep in the other world, and I will explain why even more so in my next video, the final part. But for now, I just want to talk about the final night and why I think she didn't go home. So I think a theory a lot of Coraline fans can get behind is that the beldam can see and hear things through the objects that she's sewn buttons into. After the beldam offers Coraline a way to stay in this world forever by sewing buttons into her eyes, Coraline has a bit of a freak out, runs upstairs, and is determined to go home. Now, during this panic that she's having, her stuffed animals that are talking and speaking to her are asking her why she doesn't want to stay and why she wants to leave, and she responds to them. She says, "I'm going home, robots, and I won't be back." It's through this that the beldam then knew Coraline wasn't going to come back if she was able to escape, which is why she didn't allow her to go home on the final night. All of those stuffed animals, dragonflies, and the picture of her friends in her room heard what Coraline said, and so did the beldam through them. That's why I think she didn't go home on the final night. The beldam knew her intentions and knew she wasn't going to come back, and that's why she didn't let her go. So that's the reason I think she didn't go home on the final night. So let's talk about the cat for a second. I've seen a lot of people question whether or not the cat is good or bad, and whether or not he's actually from the real world or the other world to begin with. I think he is from the real world, and I have some evidence to support this. But first, I would just like to speak on a few things about the cat in its entirety first. In the Theorizer's video, he suggests a theory that says the cat is actually the reincarnation of YB's grandpa coming back to protect him. And while I can totally get behind that for the movie aspect, in the book, YB doesn't exist. So I think the cat is sort of like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. Sort of a guide and a friend. Somebody who will tell you things and aid you, but is also a bit aloof and, I guess, not 100% reliable. Now, I haven't read the book, so I can't exactly speak to his character in an entirety in this sense, but from what I've heard from other people about how the cat is in the book, the personality seems fairly the same, if not a little bit more mysterious in nature in the book. So all in all, I think the cat is good and is a friend, and I don't think he is from the other world originally, and now I'll explain why I think that is. So in the scene where we see Coraline fall down from the attic with the stairs, the button across the moon is moving, and then it stops, and then it starts moving again. This is where I think it proves the cat is from the real world, because when the button is moving, the cat is holding on to the eye of the children, and then it stops when the cat drops it, and then it starts moving again when Coraline picks it up. The button across the moon is not a timer, but a symbol showing the magic leaving from the world. As Coraline collects more of the children's eyes, more magic is leaving the world, because that is the source of magic power in this world. So it's not a timer, it was never a timer, it's magic leaving the space. So this proves that the cat is from the real world, because as he was holding the eye, the button across the moon was moving, and then when he drops it, it stops, and when Coraline picks it up again, it starts. This shows he's from the real world because something in reality is holding the children's eye and taking it away from being captured in this pocket universe. So when something of reality holds the source of power, it starts to leave. So if the cat was from the other world originally, the button on the moon wouldn't be moving at all, because he's part of the other world as well. But the button is moving, which means that he is part of reality. The proof of this is when Coraline picks up the eye herself and the button across the moon begins moving again. Because she is something that belongs in reality, holding on to the source of power in this pocket universe, the power is leaving because reality is stronger than the magic that is made there. Proof of that is from the candy triangle that Miss Spink and Miss Forcible made for Coraline, and when Coraline looks through it, she can see the deception of everything in the other world, proving that things that come from reality are more powerful than the magic that is made in this world. So because the button across the moon was moving while the cat was also holding onto the eye, it proves that he is from reality as well. So I mentioned earlier how I think that Coraline really did go to the real world after every night she fell asleep in the other world, and while I'm going to talk a lot more about that in my next video, I want to just talk about it briefly here for a second, with just some proof that I think I found to show that she really did go back to the real world, but next video I will definitely go a lot more in depth about it. So the proof I have goes back to the gloves. If Coraline did remain in the other world the whole time, that means that the gloves in the store scene wasn't real. So her real mom wouldn't have known that she wanted those gloves if this scene happened in the other world the whole time. But at the end of the movie, Coraline's mom gives her the gloves as a present. So if that scene happened in the other world, then how would her mom know to give her the gloves that she wanted when she came back to the real world at the end of the movie? So yeah, I just think that's more proof that Coraline really did go back to the real world every night. And like I said, I'm going to talk more about why I think this in my next video. So to close off the video, I want to talk about whether or not the Beldam has control over the real world. When I saw the Theorizer's video, he mentioned this point and it stuck in my brain and I thought about it for a while, so I just want to talk about it for a little bit. So I think the Theorizer concluded that, in his opinion, the Beldam does have control over the real world, but I don't agree. One of the reasons he thinks she has control over the real world is from the point that I just mentioned, where how else would the Beldam know about the gloves Coraline wanted in order to have an outfit ready for her when she comes to the other world? But I answered this question in my last video all about the other mother, on how she knew what Coraline wanted. And it's all about the doll. So if you go and watch that video, you'll see my theory on how the Beldam knew about Coraline wanting something new, which sort of gets rid of this idea that she has control or insight on the real world and that she can see everything, because I don't think she can. But what I can get behind is the magic seeping out of the other world and coming into the real world when it's activated, that can cause clouds to change and swirl and the weather to change sometimes. That part I do agree with from the Theorizer. I agree with a lot of his theories actually, I just think that there's a few that can be explained in a different way. But I don't think her reach extends so far as her being able to control or see vastly far in the real world, especially when anything in reality seems to be more powerful than her magic, like for example the candy triangle. Okay, so that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed, and in my next video I'm going to be talking about whether or not I think the Beldam is actually dead or not. And also, I'm going to be talking a lot about the book and the movie and how I think we're supposed to look at this story and what I think the messaging is and the point of it all in the end. So I hope you'll join me for that one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you all have a wonder-filled day. Bye everybody!